Hi, welcome to LeetCode for Visual Learners. Today we're going to visualize the concepts behind the sliding window algorithm pattern. The sliding window pattern is something we can apply whenever we are searching a larger sequence of items, such as an array or string, for a particular continuous subsequence that meets a certain criteria. So for example, let's say we have this array of positive integers right here. We can use the sliding window pattern to determine if there is a subsequence within this array that adds up to the target sum of 13. And so whenever we have sliding window problems, we have three main components to them. The first component is this notion of the current window. Now the current window just represents the subsequence that we're currently trying to consider to see if it meets our criteria. The second component that we have is this value called state. Now state is a variable or a value that just represents the contents of whatever is in our current sliding window. Finally, we have this condition called hasCapacity. HasCapacity is going to use the value that is contained in state to determine if our sliding window can extend out and accommodate more items, or if it needs to be shrunk because it's already too big. Now, so for this particular example, when we're trying to find that subsequence that adds up to 13, we're going to initialize our current window to be just outside of the array, because we haven't actually started considering any of the subsequences yet. We're just initializing it. Because our current window is currently empty, the value for state will be 0. And in this particular question, our hasCapacity condition is just going to be if the value contained in state is less than 13. Let's just write that down here. State is less than 13. So once we're now familiar and we've initialized what those three components are, we're going to see how they're all related. And this is just going to control how that sliding window advances through our array as we try to find the target subsequence that we're looking for. And so we're going to start off by first extending our window. When we extend our window, we just want to think about dragging the end one to the right. After we've extended our window, we need to update the state of our window. So we just included this item 5 in here. So we need to now add 5 to whatever state was before. So now our state value is 5. Now we can move on to the third step, which is to check if the hasCapacity condition is true. And since 5 is less than 13, that's true. We can follow this back to the first step, which is going to be extending our window. So we're going to do that whole process again, where I drag the window one to the right in order to accommodate a new item. We're going to update our state. So we just added a 3, so we add that to our 5 and we get 8. Check the capacity. 8 is less than 13. We can go true again. We can extend our window. So again, dragging that window over. We're now updating the state. Now our state is 19. Now we're going to check the capacity. Now 19 is greater than 13, so hasCapacity is false. So we have to go down this branch. Our current window now is basically too big. So we need to shrink it until it is no longer too big, which is what this part of the flowchart represents here. So we're going to start by shrinking the window, and whenever we want to shrink the window, we want to drag it from the left-hand side. Okay, and so when we shrink the window, this is going to remove the 5. So after shrinking the window, now we have to go to the update state, and we're going to do that just by subtracting the item that we just removed from our window. So 19 is no longer 19, and instead 19 minus 5, which is 14. This takes us back to checking the capacity again. And so in this case, 14 is greater than 13. hasCapacity is false. We need to shrink the window one more time, so we're just going to move this over one to the left. Update our state, subtract the 3 from our state. Now our state's 11. We're back here. hasCapacity is now true, and we're going to go back to extending the window. And so we're going to repeat the steps that are outlined over here, in which we either extend or shrink the window, depending on what its current capacity is. We're going to do that all the way until our window reaches the end of our array. And in this particular example, we'll actually find a subsequence adds up to 13, which is this subsequence right here. So understanding the sliding window pattern is all about understanding these three components of the current window, the state, and the capacity condition, and knowing how their relationship determines how the sliding window is going to advance throughout our sequence as we're searching for the subsequence that we want. The values for state and hasCapacity, they're going to change across problems, and we're going to need to use our problem solving skills to determine what the best values should be when our problems get a little bit more complex than the one that we did right here. But once we've established that, their exact relationship can be described using this flowchart right here. So once we can think of what we have right now as a visual template that we can apply for different problems, and we're going to do that in the next video. So make sure you hit that follow button so you don't miss out on the next update.